Okay, so today we are going to do Excel 8. So put your eyes up here on the board. Pen or pencil out in your notes if you need to take it. What we're going to talk about today is something called absolute cell reference. An absolute cell reference is when you don't want that cell to change. So you always want to use that cell. So usually when we fill down, it changes the cells for us, right? When we do an absolute, it uses that same cell every time. So you're going to open up the file called Verizon on your R drive. You're going to do all the good stuff like the auto fitting, all that kind of stuff. Then we're going to get to the meat of it, the formulas. The sales tax is going to be 8.25. So you're going to take the sales tax multiplied by 0.0825. Okay? So 8.25% is 0.0825. Some of you were making mistakes on the last assignment that I graded. You were putting 0.00825 or 0.825. That would be 82.5%. So it's 0.0825. And then if you want to use the percent sign for it, you can say equals the sales tax times 8.25, but you have to put that percent sign. If you don't put that percent sign, it's going to multiply it 8.25 times. So if you're going to do it that way, you have to put the percent sign in it. Do you guys understand that? Okay, this is a review of what we've been doing, but I've seen some mistakes. Then you can take the fill handle with the plus sign to the skinny plus sign and fill it on down. Okay? Then the total is just the sales plus the tax, right? What's wrong here, though? It's not in currency or it doesn't have two decimal places. However, the directions or you have decided if you want to just change it to two decimal places or you can change it to currency. Oh, I get all these number signs. What's that mean? The column's not big enough to fit it, is it? So then we have to take our column and make it larger. So when you get all those number signs, it just means that column's not big enough. Yes, but then it changed once I changed it to currency. So the question was, don't you have to edit the columns in the beginning? But then when I put the currency, I needed a wider column. So my total is equals my sales plus my tax. Don't use the numbers, just use the cells. Once again, I have this number sign problem. So all I have to do is make my column a little bit bigger. Drag her down, okay? Then percent of sales. This is where we're going to get trickier. So the percent of sales wants us to figure out which is the percent of sales of each one. So what was the Droid? What percent of sales was the Droid? What percent of sales was BlackBerry, etc. So in order to do this, I have to sum the total sales tax and total. So I'm just going to use the auto sum. I'm going to put my cursor here. I'm going to highlight the range of cells, which is B13 to B32. Once I've done it once, I can just click and drag across. Okay, so all I did for this total was auto sum. So I just went here. I delete this. I just went to total, hit the auto sum button, highlighted it, pressed enter, and then drug it across. Yes?
Would this be the same thing? I clicked on it and I went to a thing and then I put a sum. Would that still be
Yes. If you come up to the top and you use the drop-down menu and do sum, it's the same thing as if you hit the auto sum. They do the same thing. So, my percent of sales. Okay? My percent of sales for the Droid. What percentage of the sales did it make up? What I'm going to do for this is this is just a math problem, right? I'm going to say equals the sales of the Droid divided by the total sales. Okay? And what's going to happen? Oh, that's not a dollar sign I want there, is it? I need this to be percents, because this is a percent of sales. Okay, so once I have the percent, I just fill down, right? That's what would make sense to everybody? But look what happens when I take my fat plus sign to my skinny little plus sign. Oh, that didn't work, did it? Because now I'm dividing B14. Well, okay, that's right, but by B35. Is there anything here in B35? There's nothing in B35, is there? What do I want to be dividing by? B34, right? Because that's where my total is. So in order to fix this, so I can just drag it down, I need to make B34 an absolute cell reference. Okay? So I need to make B34 an absolute cell reference. So in order to do this, I'll make this a little larger for you guys so you can see, is a dollar sign in front of B and a dollar sign in front of 34. When I put a dollar sign in front of the column and a dollar sign in front of the row, that signifies that it's an absolute cell reference, that I always want it to divide by B34. It's called an absolute cell reference. So it means it's always going. So B13 is going to change to B14, but B34 is going to stay the same because that's where my total is. So then when I take this now and fill down, did it do that work for me? Yes, it did. Was that quicker putting those two little dollar signs in than retyping it another 15 times? It was. So an absolute cell reference, if you look at each of these now, they all are dividing by what? Dollar sign, B34, right? You don't have to put a dollar sign in front of 3 and 4 because the row is 34. So you just have to put it in front of 34 and in front of B. Yes, in front of B, which is the column, and in front of the row, which in this case was 34. Because that's where our total is located, is in B34. That is all an absolute cell reference is. It's not something that's real difficult. It's something that can make things a lot easier. But when you want a cell to stay the same, when you fill down or fill to the right or left or wherever, you just put that dollar sign in front of the column, dollar sign in front of the row. That gives you an absolute cell reference. It's not that difficult. It's pretty simple once you get the hang of it. You just have to remember, because that might not be something that you use every day. So you might use a formula every day, but you might not use an absolute cell reference. So that's just something that you need to make a note of. That's why I wanted you guys to take your notes out. Okay, so what you guys are going to do today is Excel Activity 8.